Good morning, or it's good day. It's almost lunchtime here, and I'm the one keeping you all from the wonderful food. I'm usually the guy wearing the hat. I have my hat here, but I felt kind of strange in a chapel wearing a hat. It's not the right thing to do here. My name's Maher, and I'm with Avaya, and what I've noticed, the three speakers in this customer experience contact center slot all wear black t-shirts and have no hair, so I'm not sure what the relation is there. But I promise in the next 25 minutes, I'm going to end with pizza. And that's how we're going to end this presentation this morning and go into lunch here. I want to talk about, and Ali from Sephora hit a number of points right on the head there at the very beginning about context is king. If you don't have contextual information about your customer and the situation, how can you, engage that person properly here? He also talks about putting the customer in the middle of everything you do, right? We are technologists for the most part in the room here. We love our technology. I've been working in the contact center business for 25 years. It's all been a technology game for all of that time. It's been really fun and interesting, but we've often missed the mark because we're focusing too much on our own technology there. So when I talk about real-time communications, and our experience is real-time communications, many of you, and I'll ask for a show of hands, probably know who Avaya is. And I'd like to know how many of you have worked, have sat next to, have been in a bed next to an Avaya, AT&T, or Lucent telephone in your lifetime. I guess most of you. You've been in a hotel. If you go to the lobby here and you checked in at a hotel, they have an Avaya phone on the desk there. What you think about it and what it is a different question here, but it's always been about just simple connectivity. The API was the phone was connected through a system and connected to another phone end on the other side there. This is what you think of when you think of Avaya, am I right? I won't ask for a show of hands, but it's typically what you might think here. We have a 135-year history, and we're very proud of what we've been able to do in the voice world and telephony world. We've gone a lot further than just the telephone world and telephone APIs. So I built this slide about a year and a half ago for a conference I gave, and I haven't been able to update it because you'll see in a moment how much time it takes or how much effort is in there. But I wanted to show even people in my own company, what is the world today of communications, and now we might talk about APIs and the connectivity of how it gets there, but who are we interacting with? And this is a picture. So UCCC, for those from the business, Unified Communications, your telephony in the office, contact center, the CC technologies there are something we've been doing traditionally for a long time. Very early in the 2000s, late 90s, we were integrating with Siebel, CRM applications, screen pops on agent desktops there, so information would be shown there. So we had data being flown in and tied together. CTI was the buzzword. But I'll let the rest of the slide build, and this is what we talk about when we talk about communications today. In a real-time communications, these are all the tools, and this is not even up to date here. These are the tools that and companies we're interacting with here, that we're integrating with, relationships we have, and what all play a role when you're designing a communication solution here. Whether we've had examples from Sephora talking about the Alexa. The Alexa skill might trigger a conversation, there's information there, it's pulling information from the back end, but if they want to talk to a live person through the Alexa skill, at some point we need to now integrate that IoT device, that IoT platform needs to now be able to come in at the right time, the right place, with the right context to the person who's going to respond so they don't have to start over again here. So information systems that we interact with here, including all the social media, chatbots, virtual reality tools here. We've got relationships and examples on all of these here. And I'm going to guess, when I show this even to a number of my own colleagues here, they're often not aware, this is what Avaya is doing here. So if you think of the slide before where we had a picture of all the telephones there, that's of course what we do. We're still very proud of telephony and how rocket and battleship fest we are in that area here. But we're also dealing with real-time communications in the entire landscape. So I wanted to make this very practical and just bring 3 use cases here, just to show examples of what people are doing. And when I got a call to come to the conference about 10 days before the conference, I was thinking, why should I come to an API day? What are APIs? I know what Avaya is doing in this sort of space, but what is an API and an API day? And I wasn't really sure, but I was really happy with Adrian yesterday. If any of you were here for his Punk CX presentation, when I saw him on the agenda, I thought, I'll fit in. My beard is too, sorry there. So I saw him on the agenda and I thought if he's going to head off the event here, at least I feel somewhat comfortable talking in here. So I wanted to bring 2 examples of how Avaya works with APIs. One of how we consume APIs, so others' APIs come into our system, and the other one is how we expose APIs and being used by others here. The first one I want to talk about is a partner company called Cupid. Former Avaya employees saw what we didn't do what we weren't capable of doing, went out and started their own solution out there, and we just consume their solution here. So it's a part of this ecosystem of networks of solutions here. And one of these, a very specific use case that we built around is the call deflection. Now, if any of you work in the contact center business or you interact with the contact centers in your companies here, you'll know the subject matter, which was never spoken about 2 or 3 years ago, but now it's in every conversation, is how do we get fewer phone calls coming into my business? Right? In the 1990s, we loved to get phone calls. We'd get all the phone calls, and 2 years later, we'd add IVR systems, so we'd have all the touchtone to try to filter them in. Self-service came in here. Nowadays, everyone's saying, I don't want the phone calls anymore. Please go to my website. I've invested $1 million in my web application. I've done self-service. I've got FAQs, but they still call me here. So this is the scenario here, and this is the nightmare for the first one. The customer picks up the phone. That's already the problem for the business. So I've got a call coming into my business. What do I do here? So working together with Cupid, we just do a very smart, and this is not only a Cupid capability here, but this is the way we integrate it here. They go into the IVR, the customer identifies themselves with their PIN numbers, their information here, and then is offered a menu item saying, would you like to be redirected to our mobile experience? You might even inform the customer that's saying, well, we have 17 minutes wait time. You might be served better on the mobile web. If the customer opts in this example here, they're sent an SMS. They open the SMS, there's a hyperlink in the SMS, and they just click into it. And this is going to open up the browser. So where there's no application installed. This is just all native on whatever phone platform, smartphone platform you might be working with here. This is going to bring up now this Cupid experience. This is a messaging application, right? It's a messaging application built in a web form that's rich and built with all the contextual information that was available. So Theoru was the client who called in, had identified himself into the IVR. He's being greeted here in the screen. Welcome, what can I do for you? Buttons are being presented based on his customer profile, what was relevant for this type of customer, the information here. So this is just a web form. He finds he needs to enter some information here, puts I'm having trouble with my network, so he's using free text form here, so NLP is being employed here, so there's other APIs that are doing analysis to understand what was written, what is the intent, so we get in the right place. And here, the bot-type technology within Cupid is going to activate and try to do a little bit of interactive self-help. How can we get you here to find out what's going on? It brings up it's a router problem in their IT network here. Which router do you have? You might have multiple routers in your location here. Pick out the right one. Have you done this? Have you done that? We all know how this works here, all being done within the application in Cupid. But of course, we're not going to end this here with solving it so well in self-help, because that would be a little boring. We want to get a little bit more interesting here. So the customer says, I'm not happy. I want to chat with an agent here. And now pops up on the right here would be, now this is the Avaya world here. We've left the Cupid world. The context that was collected in the entire Cupid experience has been passed over to the system, is analyzed to understand what was the customer looking at, what types of routers, what have they tried, what have they entered in here that's being analyzed so that we can get it to the right person, to the right agent, the right information. The history of the chat is all made visible to the agent on the desktop there, and then the agent can decide what I need to do right next here. So the agent has, on the right-hand side, some toolbars. It's a widget bar here, and the customer says, I want you to test my network, the line check here, between me and the service provider here. So the agent has a widget in their toolbar here, can choose from this widget and just drags and drops the widget into the desktop here, and the agent can see the router analysis happening here. The customer is seeing it within the web form on their mobile device here. The status information is being passed back and forth here. This is just a very specific example on IT and DSL connectivity here. It could be anything else that we're testing here. But it's all live and seamlessly between the both of them here. At the end of it, it's decided, maybe through further conversation, that the customer needs an upgrade. They want to purchase a new one, so there's another widget the agent can choose from here, push over here, and now payment, all taken care of within this one web messaging experience here. The point here is, one, is we, as Avaya, don't have to do everything. We don't have to build everything. We're a very good real-time communications company. Many of those things you might know. We're very good at voice. We have email, we have chat and others. But technologies have changed, and they've become much richer. We're not an AI company. We're not trying to be, right? We do some AI in our applications here, particularly in the voice area there, but we partner with plenty of others. And that was that picture I showed you at the beginning, all the different players that come into play out there. But we have now, in the last 5 years, have opened up our architectures that we can integrate with just about anyone. In conversations over the last 3 days here, I've talked with different companies who were surprised to find out when they asked me, Can I integrate with an Avaya application platform to do X using an API that I have exposed in my corporation? My answer is, of course, right? Doing it is another question, but the answer is yes. We're completely open. We're not agnostic. I've hosted 2 events recently in the last month in Germany and in Switzerland on artificial intelligence and communications, where I invite startups out of the local regions to come in and talk about what they're doing in voice, text, or graphical analysis with using AI technologies in communications there. They have no relationship with the company. I bring them in, I put them on the stage for 25 minutes like this, and they talk about what they do here. And the reason I do this, I know we can interact and we can integrate with every one of them without much effort. That's not the world of Avaya that we used to be 5, 10, 15 years ago that some might be aware of. Second example here, so that was a consuming APIs here. So we've got the Cupid API coming in, bringing us technologies and services here. The second one I want to show is how we expose APIs. So this is the typical CPaaS conversation. We're giving access to applications to features here. So you may have heard in the panel discussion, we partnered together with Mendix just as a framework that we work with. It's not restricted to Mendix here, but that's who we've done in this example. We've built an application that was being used in Western India. So here, the example is here, nurses are traveling around on motorcycles and trying to help children get vaccinations against diseases here. They have smartphones, there's not much infrastructure out there in the world, but they have a smartphone application, they can get GSM connectivity, however that might be here, and they can have patient history available on their smart device here. So having the patient history is one thing, but sometimes they need now to talk to a doctor, talk to a specialist, ask questions here. And now what we've done together with the Mendix framework, we've exposed our calling APIs and our communication APIs, and they're embedded directly into the application. Most of you will know what mobile applications look like from companies, whether your own companies or companies you interact with here. How many of those have real communications built into the application? Very few. Most of them, at best, will have a hyperlink to a telephone number, might have a link to an email, which takes you out of the mobile experience. When you remove yourself from the mobile application and you go into the phone app, you lose all the context that you've collected in the application. You don't know what's going on. You don't have the information that was already available all within that application previously here. So communication enabling mobile applications is very easy to do. It doesn't have to be phone calls. It can be messaging, anything else. So this is what we've done. We've done click to communicate in this application. What it does here in a simple scenario to show you, it's the nurse here, accesses the customer history here on the application, shows up in the web form. They read it here, they find out that I need to escalate it to the doctor. They click to communicate. We need to find the right doctor, who's on call, who's available, who's got the right specialty here. That's part of the Avaya workflow. So the integration with the planning, the programming, the scheduling of the doctors in the hospital that are available there is run within our system here. And then we make the decision of who and how to contact which doctor and whatever, whether it's a video call, whether it's a phone call that we're going to connect out there. So using the Avaya CPaaS connectivity there, we can now bring in those people seamlessly in a voice video call here. So the nurse who's in Western India there, helping patients there in a hospital, has the patient in front of them, all the information in hand, has the communications in hand. And what does that bring you? What's the advantage of embedding and communications in the applications here is the experience remains all together. Ali talked about from Sephora, and I was really, really happy to hear that I'm not the only one talking about context is king, context is the clue. Context is going to drive real engagement, real acceptance of the applications and all that you build here. Losing context is not acceptable. He also mentioned very rightly, the service you're providing is going to be compared to the best services your customers experience from wherever they get it. And you might think that's very unfair. Amazon might give it a wonderful experience of acquiring products here. And you're not Amazon. You can't scale like them, but customers are comparing you to that last experience they had with Amazon here. This is the reality we live in. We have to accept that we need to be able to treat customers in the way they deserve to be treated. I was at the Mendix World in Rotterdam. I don't know if any of you are working the Mendix environment here and design and building those applications here. And I got to meet another evangelist. So it's quite unusual that I meet other evangelists. And this is the second time I've been in a chapel. So my wife gets a little freaky when I, with my title, go into chapels and she's not sure. But he talks about when it comes to their framework here of taking the complication out of building applications and making it so that the designer whether it's an API designer or somebody building applications, can focus on what the user needs, right? To not focus on the technology. For 25 years, we have focused, me and my generation, my lifespan of doing communications here, we focused on the technology. We were just hungry, it was sexy, it was nice. We had the new technologies, new protocols came out. We were able to do new things, right? The internet came around, we had new applications, new ways to communicate here. We're just so excited about technology. But as well said earlier in the session this morning here, the customer in the middle, the user in the middle, we were not always paying attention to. We weren't designing for them. We were designing for the toolkit we had available. So in the Mendix store, if any of you do that here, just to give that plug to us in Mendix here, we've got 4 APIs available that are exposed there. They were put up 2 weeks ago. They can be consumed directly out of that if you build applications within the Mendix framework. We're not going to be restricted Mendix. It's just the first one that we were approached by to communicate with. So this is the world of real-time communications for Avaya today. It's a lot more complex. It's complex for us as an industry. It's complex for our customers to understand the relevancy, and I'm not covering all the points as I might in a longer conversation here to talk about what we're doing here, but this is the communication we talk about today. So communications, and this is a slide that I use in other talks here, but I thought it was relevant to bring it in here. Communications have changed over time. So this is a timeline from left to right here, where conversations, interactions happening here, and I've talked to a number of people over the last 2 days here, just interacting with people in real time, in the real space. I work in customer experience, the customer care world here. I go back to a very analog place. I go back to where we were, where you go into a shop, you go into a butcher shop to buy your meat, you're talking to the butcher, to the salesperson across the counter. They have all the context about you. They might even know you because you go in there every week to buy the same goods from them, but they can see what the weather is outside. Oh, the weather's changed, it's sunny now, it was raining this morning. Did you get caught in the rain, right? You might have lots of shopping bags here. You're gonna be able to carry, all this contextual information is part of the exchange that you have here. That's analog. We all, of course, are familiar with that. How do we do that now in this digital age? Right? How do we recreate those analog experiences in the digital age? And that's what I talk about, that's what I wear on my chest, is this world, whether it's all happening in the smartphone or wherever it is in the digital space here, we need to be able to create those analog experiences in the digital space. And it's doable. You've heard speakers this morning, Ali talked about it from Sephora very clearly. It's doable today. The technology is not 2019 technology here. It's been around. We're just not bringing it together to build the experiences we need for customers. I said I was going to end with pizza, and also talked about if you're not online doing online videos for your customers, you're missing something, right? If anyone knows me or has run into me in the last few days, you'll find out I'm usually running around with a camera, and I'm interviewing people, I'm talking about people, I'm sharing experience and sharing ideas of what they do in their industries with others out there. But I also follow others and consume other ideas out in the industry. And this is a guy, I'm not sure if anybody knows Unbox Therapy. That's okay if you don't. He's a YouTuber. He unboxes things. Unboxing's a thing, if you didn't know. I also have a few unboxing videos myself online there to admit it here. This is a screenshot, as you can tell by the picture. It's about a year or so old that I captured. I was watching this in the evening, and I got to this point at 4 minutes and 36 seconds in the video. I hit pause, and I said, stop. I have to capture this, and I'm going to use this for something. Of course, I reached out to him to say, are you okay with me using your screenshot here and my talks going out there? He's a YouTuber. He had no problem. I did also reach out to Pizza Hut, if you're interested. I have to say this because legal in my company said, oh, you should be careful. It's not our customer. We're going to talk about Pizza Hut here. I did reach out to them. They responded immediately saying, well, they find that's great. Have a great time with your talk. So everything's covered from a legal side here, so all the contracts are in place here. But why am I going to show you here a picture of a YouTuber with a Pizza Hut box and some tennis shoes on the table, and what does that have to do with APIs and communication? And every time I say this, people are like, one, is this a real thing that he's talking about? The video's still there, you can go find it. Two, this is not a customer of ours, but I'm going to give you an example of what we're doing somewhat similarly, albeit without tennis shoes here. This example is a marketing gag from Pizza Hut here, where they brought a limited number of tennis shoes, basketball shoes here, where you can order pizza from your tennis shoe. Does that not got you excited, right? I know we've got 5 minutes, we're gonna go into lunch, so I'm not sure what for lunch is here, but I don't think many of us need to be able to order pizza from our shoes, but it's a gag. It's very simple for anybody in the technology space. The tongue of the shoe, there's a button, you push the button, it's connected to the app on your phone. You have a Pizza Hut app, you have an account, I always order a large, American-sized pepperoni pizza here. It goes to the local shop automatically, it gets delivered, it's paid through the application. Technology-wise, it's very simple to do. There's no real rocket here, it's just a novel idea that they came up here. Why did I stop this at that moment saying, wait, there's a problem here. There's a customer experience problem as well as a business problem here. It might not be so obvious, but what if I'm wearing these shoes after the shine wears off of them and I'm playing basketball? And within 10 minutes, I place 7 individual orders for very large American pepperoni pizzas because I keep hitting my shoes and playing basketball here. Or play soccer in the shoes, you might even have more than 7 orders there, right? What happens to the shop owner in the Pizza Hut shop who gets 7 individual orders from the same person for 7 large pizzas, and they're gonna scratch their head and think, is this real or is this a gag? How does that pizza shop owner contact me? We come back to communications. They don't have a contact method back to me here. There's an app. Right? Maybe there's a way to get a notification, but if I'm playing basketball or soccer here, I'm not watching my phone and my notifications from Pizza Hut here. So this is just a typical problem of we need a tied together experience here. We need to have a way. In this example here, I said, obviously we could build workflows, we could do things, the communication go back here. We work with Papa John's United States. Papa John's, another huge pizza chain here, has nothing to do with tennis shoes and ordering through your tennis shoes here, but all of their branches are tied together to a single brain, if you want, a customer experience application set there, where we're able to let smart communications be driven to the smallest shop in the smallest part of the country there, that they can communicate with their customers here. Something they can't do on scale at the fringe, at the edge of all these shops here. That's doable here, and that's why I brought this up here. And I said I would end on pizza, and since it's almost lunchtime here, is it up there? Let me get to it here. If you're interested, find me on the internet. I share everything, sometimes too much. My legal department has troubles with me sometimes. I'm happy to be in contact here. If there's anything you'd like to know, we have 2 minutes, I think, still left for questions. You can ask me now. I'm here for the rest of the day. I'm pretty easy to find outside of this room. I'll have a hat, I'll have a camera. I won't always take pictures of you if you're not willing here, but I appreciate you spending time here today. If you have any questions.
At least one.
Maybe I've scared them off with the tennis shoes and the pizza. That's right.
And they're watching on you, they started to watch you.
Watch me on YouTube. LinkedIn is the place I spend most of my time, but you can find me on the web, so I appreciate it. Thank you for your time here and have a great day.
Thank you, Andrew.